What is going on, guys? In today's video I will show you the top 3 best builds in the hellclock. So in this guide I will give you a quick overview of each setup, then I will explain what are their pros and cons, then how do their key mechanics work, then what relics and skills should you focus on, then also what you should upgrade in your skill book and the great bell setup, and much more. Overall, these builds will require little to no investment in order to work properly. They are ideal for newer players or for someone who just wants to have fun while dominating 99% of the content. Also, if you're interested in buying other PC or console games with 50 or 70% discount, then check out Instant Gaming. For example, I want to buy Elden Ring, so we just click on Add to Cart, then click Pay, then input our details and pay. After payment is complete, we will receive activation key, then copy and paste the key in, and it's that simple. So what are you waiting for? Click my link in the description and check out Instant Gaming for yourself. So let's kick things off with a fan favorite, the Minion build. If you're a kind of player who likes to sit back and let your minions do all the dirty work for you, while you orchestrate the chaos from behind the scenes, then the setup is going to be perfect. This build revolves around summoning an army of the hell-spawned creatures to fight for you. You don't need to worry about the high precision or fast reaction time. Your job is mostly positioning, timing your buffs, and keeping your minions alive and enhanced. In terms of gameplay, it's all about staying mobile, dodging heavy AoVs, and unleashing waves of minions from a safe distance while focusing on key utility skills. Your minions do the most of the damage, while you provide support and control from the backline. The core skill rotation is fairly straightforward. Open with your primary summon skill, then follow that up with the buffs and enhancements. Skills like the Bloodhound and the Command Hell will amplify their power, while the passive aura-based skills will increase survivability. You'll want to cycle through the summons to ensure a full field of minions, and timing their explosive death effects that can be a major source of burst damage. As for relics, you want to look for anything that enhances minion health, attack speed, and the summoning cooldowns. The Gold Commander's Pendant and the Charm of Eternal Obedience are particularly strong here, allowing your minions to stay longer and hit harder. But don't overlook the health regen or the damage reduction for your character either. While the minions will draw most of the aggro, you can still take damage if you're not careful. Now, the Great Bell setup is essential for this build. You'll want to slot in effects that boost summon duration, increase their AoV damage, or add utility, like poison or the burn on hit. The most effective combo is one that focuses on stacking multiple minor effects that your horde of minions can rapidly trigger, because this will essentially overwhelm enemies with the status effects and the debuffs. In terms of pros, the build excels at sustained damage and safety. You'll rarely have to put yourself in the direct danger, but the biggest con is that it's not the fastest build for the bosses, with the teleport or the phasing mechanics, and early game minions can feel a bit squishy without the right relics. Still, once you scale it up, it becomes nearly unstoppable in 99% of the content. Next up, let's talk about the repeater build. This one is a fast-paced, high DPS setup that revolves around rapid-fire projectile output and overwhelming enemies with the sheer volume of attacks. If you enjoy run-and-gun style of play and want something that feels responsive and powerful right off the gate, then this is your build. The repeater build uses skills that have low cooldowns and high uptime. Your main attack will be a multi-shot or chain shot skill that tears through the waves of enemies. The key to success is keeping your momentum. You're constantly moving, shooting, and repositioning to avoid being cornered. It's extremely engaging and rewards skill, movement, and timing. The gameplay loop is tight. You dash into the position, then unleash a barrage, then trigger your secondary skill to reset the cooldowns or buff your attack, and then rinse and repeat. You can amplify your damage by syncing with the attack speed boost, create modifiers, or the projectile duplication effects. Every couple of seconds you'll be activating a buff or a skill book effect to keep your rotation optimal. Then skill-wise, you want to focus on the Chain Pulse or the Piercing Arc as your main damage dealing skills. You can combine that with the buffs like the Overload Core or the Kinetic Surge to increase attack speed and the crit rate. The synergy between your primary and the secondary abilities is what makes this build shine. Then, when it comes to relics, you want to look for anything that boosts attack speed, crit damage, and the elemental procs. Repeater builds scale extremely well with on-hit effects, so items like the Storm Coil Amplifier or the Lens of Fragmentation are amazing for stacking elemental burst damage. Now let's talk about the Great Bell setup. For this build, we want to prioritize modifiers that trigger on the projectile hit, so things like the explosion on crit or the chain reaction can make your screen light up with the damage. You also want bells that reduce cooldowns and increase fire rate. With the right combination, you can create a machine gun effect that obliterates monsters in seconds. The skill book synergy is also important for this build, so pick up books that add ammo regeneration, chain effects or multicast modifiers. Books like the Tome of the Shattered Shells or Manual of the Rapid Voltage are particularly potent. Timing the book effects with your skill rotations can lead to massive burst of DPS during boss fights or elite waves. The pros of this build are super clear, it's fast, flashy and devastating, but the cons is that it requires more attention and mechanical skill. You'll have to dodge while firing and maintain your buffs, so it's less forgiving for newer players. However, even with a little practice, the repeater build can dominate both early and the late game content. And now finally, we've come to the Whirlwind build, which is a brutal melee focused setup that turns into a spinning engine of destruction. If you want to charge into the center of the mobs and grind everything into the dust, then this is your go-to build. The core mechanic here is simple but effective. You activate your Whirlwind skill and keep it going as long as possible. With the right relics and the cooldown setup, you can maintain near permanent uptime, effectively turning your character into a mobile blender. The playstyle is very aggressive, you're constantly moving into the enemies, popping cooldowns to boost movement speed and the damage, and relying on lifesteal or leech effects to stay alive. The rotation is extremely fluid. Start with a mobility skill to engage, then activate Whirlwind and then rotate through your buffs. Keep an eye on for the cooldowns for your invincibility windows or the damage shields, and once you get the rhythm down, you'll be tearing through the content without missing a beat. The focus is absolutely on the Whirlwind, but you should pair it with support skills like the Rage Echo or the Spin Barrier to increase the sustain and the DPS. You can also use a movement skill like the Blood Dash to quickly reposition or escape danger when needed. Then relics-wise, for this build you should focus on sustain, armor penetration and AoV amplification. Molten Core Harness is excellent for adding a fire trail effect while spinning, while the Echoing Axe Totem will add bonus hits every few seconds. These will stack up very well with a constant motion and the contact damage that build provides. Now let's talk about the Great Bell. The build benefits massively from the effects like the Trail of Fire, the Shock Pulse, or Bleed and Contact. Every tick of your spin can trigger these effects, so the more effects you stack, the more deadly you become. You're essentially creating a moving hazard that enemies can't avoid. Blessings are especially impactful for this build, so look for blessings that enhance physical damage, leech and the movement speed. Fury Unbound and the Oath of the Sanguine are top tier options here, by giving you both survivability and the raw power. These blessings will push your uptime and ensure that you can keep spinning even with the toughest fights. Pros of this Whirlwind build will include unmatched AoE clear, insane synergy with the relic effects, and the ability to tank through the most damage with the right sustain. And then for cons, you need to be in the thick of it constantly, which makes you vulnerable to stunts or interrupts. It also requires more relic support to really reach its full potential, but once it's fully optimized, it's one of the most satisfying builds to play in the hellclock. So let me know what you think about these builds in the comments below. If you enjoyed this, then you don't want to miss my previous best builds tier list video, where I ranked every single build in hellclock, so click the screen now and I'll see you in the next one.